The power of a heavy composite crossbow is enough to penetrate a person's head at such a short distance. In addition, this Mr. Kylo is himself a top killer who is extremely good at killing people with this weapon, so he has absolute certainty that he can kill Charlie with a single blow. He debuted in the assassin field for 15 years, and has never missed a target with the crossbow. Therefore, after aiming at Charlie with extremely fast speed, he immediately pulled the trigger without hesitation. The bowstring of the composite crossbow made a humming sound, and then a crossbow arrow made of titanium alloy and carbon fiber galloped straight to Charlie's temple. The speed of the composite crossbow exceeds 100 meters per second, not to mention this heavy composite crossbow is a modified killing weapon. The speed is almost close to 200 meters per second. At such a short distance, the speed left for the opponent to react is no more than 0.5 seconds. In other words, the opponent didn't even have a chance to turn his head and take a look. Therefore, Kylo has already made his mind and regards Charlie as a dead person. He was even ready to witness Charlie's head burst open with his own eyes. Moreover, he knows very well that the arrow of this crossbow bolt is very poisonous. Even if it only cuts the opponent's skin, the opponent will definitely die. However, what he never expected was that Charlie didn't even look here, just casually stretched out his hand and grabbed it, and grabbed the swift crossbow arrow. How is this possible? Kylo was already stunned. The captain was also stunned, and blurted out, "Mr. Kylo, am I dazzled? The crossbow arrow you just shot is what that guy is holding in his hand." Kylo suddenly sweated coldly. Yes, this guy is simply a pervert. I have never seen such a strong person. After that, Kylo hurriedly asked, "Who is he?" The captain was full of horror. "I don't know. I just received an order from the master to tell you to kill him." Kylo gritted his teeth. "I will shoot him another arrow. I don't believe he can catch it." This composite crossbow has 2 sets of bowstrings, which can be used for 2 crossbow arrows for continuous shooting. After the 2 crossbow arrows are fired, the bowstring must be re-stringed. For such a heavy crossbow arrow, the bowstring is not an easy task. Even if it is operated by Kylo, it will take at least 10 seconds. Therefore, the remaining crossbow arrow is almost his last chance. At this moment, the captain suddenly stopped him and blurted out, "Mr. Kylo, if you can't get rid of him, start the emergency plan. Are you absolutely sure that you can kill him with this last arrow?" Kylo froze for a moment, hesitated for a moment, shook his head and said, "I don't," the captain said with a grim expression. "Mr. Kylo, if you are not absolutely sure, then implement the emergency plan." Kylo nodded lightly and said, "Okay, then implement the emergency plan." At this time, on the deck of the other ship, Ruoli saw Charlie grasp a crossbow arrow that broke through the air with one hand, and the whole person was already in shock. She exclaimed in her heart, is this person a human? The strength of this crossbow arrow is stronger than my previous strike, and it is much faster than me. He can even watch it. How can he grab it with one hand without looking? What level is this man's martial arts? At this moment, Charlie saw Ruoli's expression in shock, and smiled lightly. "What? Do you feel that your worldview has been subverted?" Ruoli nodded gently. Although she was unwilling to admit her failures and shortcomings, the strength of the man in front of her was indeed incredible, and he had completely exceeded her knowledge of martial arts. Charlie sneered and turned to look at the ship opposite. The killer with the composite crossbow in the boat was startled by the look in his eyes. He hesitated for a while, then whispered to the captain, "No matter whether my arrow can be shot or not, you must drive the boat to its maximum horsepower as soon as possible, and leave at the fastest speed. This man is too strong. The farther we are from him, the better." The captain immediately put his hand on the engine power gear, and at the same time said to the chief mate next to him, "After Mr. Kylo shoots the second crossbow arrow, you will immediately fill the rudder to the left, and I will maximize the horsepower at the same time." The first officer blurted out immediately, "I understand, okay?" The captain nodded, and looked at Kylo aside nervously. Who took a deep breath, then immediately pulled the trigger and shot a cold arrow. Afterwards, he immediately shouted, "Withdraw. Withdraw quickly." the captain and first officer immediately began to cooperate, controlling the ship's full rudder to the left and preparing to escape at full speed. At the moment when he shot the crossbow arrow, Charlie already felt that the crossbow arrow was coming. He wanted to reach out and grab it, but suddenly gave up. Because he noticed that the crossbow arrow was not coming at him. Instead, it rushed to Ruoli beside him. The next moment, Ruoli suddenly felt a sharp pain in her thigh. She screamed in pain, and looked down. Her right leg had been completely penetrated by a crossbow arrow. The severe pain made her clench her teeth, and her heart was full of surprise. Why would he shoot a crossbow arrow into my leg? As soon as she thought of this, she immediately felt that there was a powerful energy flowing from the wound throughout her body along her blood vessels. She is a woman of martial arts, has a certain internal strength, and suddenly realized that this kind of energy is nothing but poison that can kill people. Her face suddenly turned pale. However, after a while, she felt relieved again. In the hands of the man in front of me, I am a bit unable to survive or beg to die. No matter what, I will soon die by poison. In this way, my identity can never be made public, and it won't cause trouble to Dad. Thinking of this, her face suddenly had a relieved expression. Seeing this, Charlie couldn't help but frown, and said coldly, "You want to die so? Don't worry, the more you want to die, the less I will let you die so easily." Having said that, immediately grabbed her wrist and fingertips to penetrate a trace of spiritual energy from his veins to remove the poison in her body, and at the same time temporarily seal all her meridians, making her completely immobile. After that, he threw the first crossbow arrow in his hand to the ship that was about to escape. That Kylo was staring at the two of them, wanting to see when Ruoli is poisoned and die, but he didn't expect a black shadow to fly in front of him. Immediately afterwards, he felt a sharp pain in his forehead. The next second, the crossbow bolt shot through his cap, killing him on the spot. When the captain and other crew members in the cabin saw this scene, they were all frightened. The captain convulsed and pushed the power control stick tightly. He blurted out and shouted, "Why is this ship moving so slow?" The first officer held the rudder and shouted hoarsely, "Captain, the rudder is full left. It is difficult to speed up when turning on the spot, just wait for it to turn." Just when the ship desperately wanted to turn to escape, Charlie took a few steps on the deck and suddenly jumped, and the person had already jumped onto the opponent's deck. At this time, a crew member twitched in shock. "Captain, that person jumped onto our boat."